Today we will be ranking every single Donkey Kong Country game, and it's going to be a doozy of a list because I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off. Listen, it's ranking them from worst to best, so number 5 might be something that pisses you guys off, but just know that it's not that far off from number 1. These are 5 of the best games I have ever played. This is my favorite franchise ever, so I dearly love all of these games, and if you want to see me go in depth about those, I do have individual videos that you can check out after this one. But let's get into my ranking of the Donkey Kong Country franchise. Number 5, we have Donkey Kong Country 2. I know. It's not bad. It's good. It's very good. It's a great game. I just think that sometimes there were some cheap deaths, and it is really, really hard. It's a game that I'm very proud of beating. It's a game that I had a lot of fun with in the moment, but it is a game that no part of me ever wants to go back and play again. It's great, it's important, it brought the franchise forward in a lot of ways, and it really fixed a lot of those issues that a lot of people had with Donkey Kong Country 1, which is like, obviously, the boss battles improved quite a bit. They got more inventive, and I think the boss battles were a great part of this game, but I also feel like there was a little bit of an over-reliance on the animal buddies, and while yes, it really did do a lot of good at the same time, right? Because it mixed up the gameplay in a lot of ways. It wasn't my favorite thing. It felt like it took away a little bit of the specialness that Donkey Kong Country 1 does. That being said, this is one of the greatest games ever. I think this game is a must-play for every Donkey Kong Country fan. It's just not one of my personal favorites because of how incredibly difficult it was to get through at the time. Now, that being said, I beat the game. I had a good time with it. It's not that I didn't beat it because it's so hard. And that feeling of achievement after you beat the game is honestly unmatched. So I totally understand why this would be some people's favorite game. If you like games like Elden Ring and those super duper hard games really appeal to you, this is a great one to check out. But that mixed with some of the old slipperiness of Donkey Kong on top of also like it was really hard to save in this game, and once you get a little bit of a pattern down as to how you're gonna do it, which you figure out in late game, it starts to click a little bit, but like, I don't know, it just pissed me off a few times, and it's a game I look back very fondly on, but it's a game, like I said, I will never check out again, at least for the next 10 years. Which is different because the rest of these games, I feel like they're games I want to go back to, but it also introduced our girl Dixie, who absolutely mogs, and I love Dixie. I think she's great. And again, this game, score-wise, 9 out of 10. Like, it's a great, great game. I had a fun time with it. It's just brutal. And this is my ranking. So if you have a different ranking, let me know down below, okay? Number 4 is going to be Donkey Kong Country 3. Donkey Kong Country 3, I think, is a really good game. I think it's often overlooked because it came out in the N64 generation, so a lot of the hype of SNES games was simply gone at this time. But this game is fun. It basically harkens back to Donkey Kong Country 1 in a lot of ways, and after the brutality that we faced with Donkey Kong Country 2, this was a nice sort of pace breaker in there, okay? It's fun, it's fairly easy, but the boss battles were really inventive and interesting, and it still has fairly challenging platforming, just nowhere near as hard as Donkey Kong Country 2. It was just a nice breath of fresh air, but also it's not without its flaws, because I hate Kiddy Kong. He sucks. He's just a very like, his momentum blows because he sits down after, like, if you're not on the controller for a second, he's sitting down. So, I don't like playing as Kiddy Kong at all. Dixie Kong, though, she's fun to play as. The story here, you're saving the boys. It's fun. Dixie gets her shine in the limelight. I think it's a good game, all things considered. And the overworld design of this game is really cool, and this is sort of where they introduce saving, basically, or at least you could easily sort of save after every single level, which was awesome because there was no more like fighting for hours and hours and hours, only to get sent back to the beginning of that area, like what happened to me constantly in Donkey Kong Country 2. Number 3 is the Wii classic Donkey Kong Country Returns. This is the first Donkey Kong game I ever played, one of my first games I ever beat, which is honestly crazy because I played the HD version that came out on the Nintendo Switch a couple months ago, and it was hard. This game is really brutal. It harkens back to a lot of the difficulty of Donkey Kong Country 2, which is awesome, but the quality of life mechanic of being able to save after every single level is really what puts this game way ahead of those other two, in my opinion, because it's just structured better. And that's just something that comes with time, but again, this is a list about my preferences, so if you disagree, it's just gonna happen, man. I think we are gonna disagree here. This is a game that isn't necessarily the most beautiful game, but the platforming holds up incredibly well to this day. It introduced silhouette levels, which is absolutely breathtaking and really got brought to new heights in the subsequent entries. But this is a damn good game. There's a ton of variety in the platforming, and you could play as Diddy, and it had 2-player, which I always really had a good time with as a child as well. My dad would often play this game with me. It was really nice and a fun time and a good memory to look back on. And the boss battles were truly kicked up to another level here. It was really challenging and they were fun and stuff. But again, this is sort of like the precursor. This was mostly just a return to form for Donkey Kong, so there wasn't too much new, but just a lot of things to love here. Number 2 is the game that started it all, Donkey Kong Country 1. This game is amazing in a lot of ways, but it's not without its flaws as well, a lot of which come with the time frame. It's an SNES game, so some of the platforming is a little bit slippery. It's a first entry into a new franchise, so there were a lot of underdeveloped ideas like the boss battles being fairly easy, but the core of what was here was something very, very special. This is one of the best looking games on the SNES because they went for this like sort of crazy 3D, almost graphical sprite style. It was beautiful. And on top of which, the gameplay itself is just a ton of fun. It was a lot more of a challenging platformer than the other Nintendo counterparts as well, so it set itself apart because of that. The platforming is absolutely iconic, and it's really creative. Every new level brings something brand new, shows you some new mechanic that you're going to be doing, the barrel blast and all that kind of stuff, the minecart levels. Every single thing you love about Donkey Kong was pretty much born in this game, and so it's impossible to really put the others ahead of it, but I somehow managed to because my number 1 is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This game is my favorite game of all time. I think it is one of the best platformers ever created, and it's beautiful, it keeps stuff interesting and moving, and it's just overall an extremely fun and rewarding game. This game goes back to the difficulty we've seen with Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country Returns, and really just kicks everything up quite a bit, especially in those boss battles, and so it really pissed me off as a kid to a different degree. I played this originally on the Wii U in like 2014, I believed. I was pretty young, I was 12 or so, and I loved this game. I thought it was one of the best games I had ever played because every single time I got over one of the impossible challenges, the amount of relief and euphoria I felt basically after every single time was unimaginable. And so almost every single year or every other year, I've gone back and played this game. This is one of the 3 games I have 100%ed. This is the only game I've ever played more than like 3 times. It's really fucking fun and just so imaginative. The silhouette levels initially introduced in Donkey Kong Country Returns really come to a new forefront here. The underwater levels are done super duper well, which is weird because I usually hate underwater levels. And then also the enemies, they're interesting. There's this winter that is freezing over this tropical land. The environments are fun. The boss battles are incredibly difficult. This owl guy as a child took me hours and hours and actually multiple days to beat because I didn't know all the elite strats that I obviously do now. But I very recently replayed this game and beat it in like 4 hours, which was insane because, you know, the original took me like damn near 20. So I think just the amount of nostalgia combined with the amount of love I have for this game makes me want to put it as number 1, but my list is not the right list. It is just my list. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. How would you rank all of these games and have you played them? I'm gonna have a full video talking about my entire experience beating every single Donkey Kong Country game pretty soon, but yeah, this was just like my overview thoughts and how I would rank them compared to one another. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in this video. It's a banger, it's a vibe, it's a good time. I will see you over there. Thank you so much. Goodbye!